Inktober 2025 is finished, and this is the sketchbook tour. Let's get the camera set up and zoomed in. I might end up zooming in and out depending on whatever pieces are actually linked to each other in previous years, if there's any kind of lore drops or anything. So let's get started, shall we? I need to sort out the lighting levels. So we have King Jonathan of Loka. We'll be seeing a lot of the Loka royal family during this Inktober. So mustache, Jonathan with his mustache. He's one of the only few characters in my character universe, at least currently, that have a mustache. So I thought, why not? Why not? I rarely draw Jonathan. And also, it gives me a chance to draw older characters. So day 2, we have Weave. This is Jonathan's daughter, Loki. She is the crown princess and she has magnificent hair. I will say, when I look at this piece, it reminds me of day 3 of 2024. I don't know, I think it's the colours that remind me of it. Obviously, it's the same character, so of course it would remind me. Next we have day 3, very game arty kind of feel. I did a lot of that kind of last year as well. So day 1 was kind of like a backpack. You can see the same sort of style going on. Day 4, murky. This one was the main one I planned out in my planning video. So let's see a comparison between the thumbnail and the final piece. So this is the little thumbnail that was in that planning video. And then this is what it came out in the final piece. Definitely similar vibe. I did go a little bit overboard with the white gel pen, especially for the rain. Sometimes when I get that white gel pen in my hand, I can't stop myself. I'm a little detail fiend. Day 5, deer. This is Amari. I don't think I've ever drawn Amari for Inktober. So this is kind of new for me. She was actually the very first character in my Instagram Designs My OCs series from back in the day. During the planning video, I kind of had this moment where I was like, wait, I like that scene in Bambi where he's like skating on the frozen lake. Why don't I just do Amari on the frozen lake? And this is kind of like a screenshot redraw, but with my character. Day 6, Pierce. Now this one has a very funny thumbnail sketch. Before I get into the lore of this one, because there is lore for this one, and there is actually a few storylines throughout this particular Inktober. But first of all, let's take a look at the really silly thumbnail sketch for this, and then compare it, because, oh my god. The thumbnail sketch. The final thing. I still can't believe it's like the same thing. I will say the colour scheme of day 6 is actually inspired by one from 2023. Is it exactly the same? No, but you can kind of get a feel for like the same sort of vibes in colours. I do think my lights are overexposing the intensity of the black in these pieces, but you can definitely feel the intensity and the similarities between these pieces. They're not linked by story or anything, but I definitely did reference this piece in terms of colour for this one. So when explaining the lore of this one within the confines of the short, I sum it up as a vampire attack on a mermaid kingdom, which that is essentially what happens. This is Crown Princess Coraline, and she gets bitten by a vampire. Now, she is already a mermaid, so she actually turns into a siren. So there are multiple of the royal family that do get bitten. Some pass away very shortly after getting bitten. Others actually live with the affliction. Being bitten and turning into a siren from a mermaid is a painful process and is very unpredictable. This vampire, I'm not gonna say exactly who it is, but like he does link to another story within this that is very prominent, so I'll leave that pretty open-ended. Day 7, we have Starfish, another Acrel piece, but this time it's more so about family heirlooms, and this is a starfish necklace that is given to the youngest daughter, Pearl. Now also, I kind of have a funny feeling that Pearl's nickname within the family, or at least like a really cute pet name, whether it be from her family or her future family, is Starfish. So I just wanted something really cute after this. So day 8, we have Reckless. This is a storyline that is due to be played out within my Sims series. Now, the breakup within my series has already happened, and I did story posts about this. Yes, my character universe exists in so many different mediums. My artwork, The Sims, comics and games concepts that I've created. Basically, I use Mariana, or like elements of Mariana, for when I'm experimenting with so many different things. But this, even though you can't really see it because it's meant to be like a silhouette, this is actually Prince Jaden of Verona, and he recently got dumped by his girlfriend at his brother's wedding. And yes, it was deserved. And before you start feeling sorry for Jaden, he was being incredibly manipulative, and Pyra, the ex-girlfriend, finally saw through all the manipulation. However, Jaden does not take this breakup very well. While the wedding reception is happening, and the breakup is literally just so fresh, Pyra is very upset, and the baker's son comforts her. Now, this is reported on the news because Pyra is actually a princess in her own right of another kingdom. And also, this breakup was just incredibly public. Jaden, seeing red, or just a huge amount of jealousy, took it out on the bakery. Day 9, Heavy. Now this is a storyline that happens way down the line, but I did actually do a kind of movie poster sketch for this in an old sketchbook. So it is related to this one. Obviously this is not an Inktober piece, this is just a piece from my old sketchbook. But this is Felix, and this is also Felix. So this is Felix when he's a little bit older, but these two characters are Kiyomi. So these two characters have a love affair, which seriously affects Felix's brothers, Adrian and Orion. For the word heavy, I went with the phrase hot and heavy as my inspiration for this. Felix and Kiyomi's relationship is really intense and passionate. Also, fun fact about this piece, I only used 3 separate ink colours, so this one was definitely a test of my colour mixing abilities. It was yellow, magenta and cyan that I used. Yes, I used a bit of white ink, but I don't really class that as like a colour, essentially, as it's more to tint the colours to be lighter. But yeah, I definitely need to draw Felix more because in this piece, a lot of people thought he was a girl. Oops. No, this is Crown Prince Felix of Halle and Crown Princess Kiyomi of Henlin and Artro. The marriage of her parents were actually to combine 2 kingdoms, so when she becomes queen, she will combine the kingdoms into one. So the fact that she fell in love with an heir is like doubly bad. It's like, what's gonna happen? Are 3 kingdoms gonna merge? Is one gonna give up their titles? Like, all of this is a huge narrative issue. Day 10, we have Sweep. Now, the bakery, because it was broken into by Jaden, and because of that, they took the opportunity to get a bigger place, hire more staff. They saw the silver lining, essentially. This is Rosanna, and she is an old character. If you've been following me for a really long time, you'll probably know Rosanna, and she hasn't really changed all that much within the story, and she was slotted in very recently to the character universe very seamlessly. As I said in the short, the one thing about this piece, not that it's bad, it's just that I feel like it's a piece that needed to be done at a bigger scale to actually get the most out of it. It almost feels like it's a thumbnail for an illustration that hasn't happened yet, more so than a final piece. Day 11, Sting. Now this is Iris and Warwick. In this one, Iris and Warwick are having a heart-to-heart while Iris is cleaning up his wounds, and he's saying how he never knew his parents, he didn't know where he came from, he was basically just left at the Knights Academy without any other context. and he's desperate to find out who he is, who his family is. He just feels lost. Even though he's a very sarcastic, happy, chirpy, bubbly personality, underneath it all, he's a guy who just wants to know who he is, where he came from. So obviously, this conversation cuts deep and stings, just like his wounds. Shredded. Of all the character pieces in this one's probably the least narrative driven. This is Spiro of Cinderash. He's currently the king of Cinderash, but I imagine this piece would be of him while he is Crown Prince. And he's training, he's showing off, and to be honest, the anatomy on this one, is it the best? No, but I tried. Whenever I draw muscly men, or like men in general, especially with this sort of silhouette, like the triangle silhouette within the body, I really struggle with the head, mainly because sometimes it feels like the head is too small. I don't know, maybe that's just a me problem. Maybe that's like a general artist problem. I don't know. But I do struggle with drawing, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Day 13, Drink. So this one has many different ties to other illustrations that I've done in the past. In the past, I've done so many pieces related to like poison and stuff. To show the links between pieces, I actually have art books of years 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. The years that I do not have art books for, I will show the original sketchbooks. But I actually sell the Inktobers of 2018 to 2021 as art books on my Etsy shop. But getting back to the connections between this, there are many connections. So in this one, Camilla Callisto is the main lady in this story. She is the wife that poisons her husband, Thomas Callisto. She's doing this for many reasons, but one of them is the fact that she is having an affair. But she does already have a son with Thomas, and this is Nicholas. Before I show more connection pieces over the years with Drink, I will say that I recently found the short for this piece. My very first short ever. It's not very good quality, but like it's a fully traditional short, and it's like the piece coming together from start to finish, and it is a speed paint sort of style. Do you think I should upload it? Because I was mesmerized by that old short. It was like the very first short I'd ever made, but it was before YouTube Shorts even existed. So would you like to see that short? Oh my god. So I just found the aftermath piece to Drink, and I did this in 2021, and this is from Thomas's perspective, and I did actually reference this piece. Another piece that I found within 2021, this is Camilla and her husband Thomas. Another one that it connects to that is really important is Day 17's journal. This is Camilla's journal, and you can see that she has a little potion bottle, and this one is kind of showing you she is in the process, or like just before she's about to poison Thomas, which I really love having art pieces that kind of like link together and tell a story. Even if they're done in like different years or like out of order, you can definitely piece together the pieces and tell a story. Day 14, Trunk. This is just a tree trunk. I wanted to have a go at some landscape work. I don't really do landscape work all that much, and also I don't use green all that much. I think I definitely need to practice using the colour green a lot more, but I do really like the way this turned out. Did I go a little bit overboard with the white lines? A little bit. Day 15, Ragged. Not really too much to say about this one, except for the fact that it was fully done in marker. I used to be so confident with marker, but yeah, this one I definitely need to work with alcohol-based markers more again. Did I go a little bit overboard with contrast? I'll leave that up to you, but I think it's okay for what it is. I did say in the short that the room that this is probably a room of an occupied castle, but this room has not been touched in a long time. Day 16, we have Blunder. Now this one is definitely linked to this one. Now I know I've showed this piece before when doing day 6's Pierce. But this one, story-wise, this piece leads to this piece. Crown Prince Argus of Mariposa is getting married to Bethany of Dune. As the Crown Prince of Mariposa, he is essentially the next ruler of Mariposa. And with ongoing war between Avis and Mariposa, Argus and whoever he marries becomes under threat. To protect Bethany, he does actually call off the wedding, but not before he gets shot in the shoulder. And you can see that this shoulder is the one that gets shot. This is the aftermath where he gets taken to safety and he's just having a cigarette to calm his nerves. With all the stress that Avis is causing Mariposa, Argus does pick up the bad habit of smoking. And in this piece, he is reflecting on all of his blunders, his bad choices throughout the conflict. We have day 17, Ornate. This is Isla, and she marries Argus's brother, Sky. Now, I have previously done a picture of Sky and Isla getting married, and this was like a really old piece, but I still really like it, so I actually referenced that when redrawing Isla in her wedding dress. I thought Isla was the perfect character for this prompt, mainly because Isla and Vanessa being her mother, are actually the main reasons the character universe of Mariana actually exists. In late 2017, I was starting to question if Nicholas ever had a family, what would his family look like? And I loved the idea of him being a girl dad. So I was like, okay, he's a girl dad, but who is his wife? Like, who is the mother of this child? And then who is this child? That was the very first step towards the character universe becoming what it is today. So I thought that Isla was a really good character to do for this one. Day 18, Deal. The YouTube short of this one actually popped off a lot bigger than I was expecting it to. I think people were really intrigued with the story, and also it linked back to day 11. So people actually went back trying to figure out who the affair baby was, and people correctly guessed that it was Warwick from day 11. Did I go overboard a little bit with the acrylic paint markers? I mean, I like the way the effect looks, but this is supposed to be Camilla. I'm not really saying too much about this guy and who he is, but he does have a child of his own. If people are thinking that this guy is better than Camilla, no, they're just as bad as each other. She isn't the only one having an affair, but the story behind this one is that Camilla is having an affair and she falls pregnant by her affair partner. A deal is made to get rid of the unwanted baby once it is born. All I can say is, poor Warwick. His parents are awful people. Day 19, Arctic. For this one, I think I only used, I used 3 colours. I used cyan, turquoise, and indigo. So all blue colours, as well as the white ink for the snow. But this kingdom is known as Quillo and is the Ice Kingdom. Not too much to say about this one. I just wanted to practice my landscape work and my work with colour. Day 20, Rivals. So this is Nicholas Callisto. So all of the pictures of Nicholas that you've seen over the years also link to this one. This piece definitely comes off the back of my old comic, Interconnected. The dynamic between Nicholas and Anthony, although the comic was really, really short-lived, it definitely did depict a dynamic between Anthony and Nicholas that wasn't great, and that Anthony had a one-sided rivalry with Nicholas. Anthony is the king's nephew, whereas Nicholas is the son of the king's best friend. Thomas and King Jonathan were best friends growing up, and remained that way until Thomas's untimely death. So Jonathan has always had a bit of a soft spot for Nicholas, and also Jonathan actually ends up marrying Camilla at one point. They do get divorced later on, so it's this really weird sort of time where Nicholas actually becomes Jonathan's stepson and Loki's stepbrother, but that's another story. So day 21, Blast. This was one of the ones that took a while to plan out, but I thought let's just use that one pen trick that I've been using. Basically, I take an ink rollable pen, or any pen that has ink that you can water down. I mainly use the 0.7 version of this pen, but I don't have it to hand, so this is the 0.5 version of it. But this is the blast damage of Mariposa. Day 16's blunder, you saw Anthony get hurt in the shoulder. This is definitely more of the physical damage of the environment rather than the people. Also, using one art supply for this piece was kind of fun. I think if I would have added any colour to this, it would have been very, very subtle. So say maybe a bit of marker just over the top or a bit of watercolour, like nothing too intense. I really like the way that the black and white looks here. Day 22 button. Another one of those pieces that I really struggled with in terms of the thumbnails. And then I thought the phrase cute as a button. We have Loki's husband Elijah and their daughter Thea. And she's so cute. Thea, especially in my Sims game, looks like Elijah, and I really love that. They both have a button nose, and I love the fact that Thea inherited that. It's so cute. I really love the way Thea came out in this one. This year I definitely drew a lot of different age ranges, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy. Day 23, Firefly. Now this piece, I'm really in love with it. Like, I love the way that this turned out. My lights are a little bit on the bright side at the moment, so hopefully I can colour correct it in post of how it looks in real life. And I actually intend to use the base of this as like practice for like 3D modelling, also texture painting as well. Like, it's something that I could use for other projects. Is it the most accurate drawing of a well ever? No. And I know it isn't. I don't think I've ever drawn a well like this before. If I have, it's been a really long time and I don't remember. But I can definitely see this piece fitting within the Mariana lore anyway. So day 24, Rowdy. I have this pop star character called Ruby Topaz. Back when I first started making characters, a lot of them were like girl groups and singers and stuff, and Ruby was supposed to pay homage to my old characters. A lot of them don't really exist anymore. There are a few that are still around from like 2010, but Ruby is kind of like an amalgamation of like all those characters, and she is the main pop star of Mariana. This idea was more or less creating a feel of depth to the crowd. I don't know whether it comes across in the final piece, but while I was actually painting this, you could definitely see the layers of the crowd building. It's definitely a very subtle effect. You can see all the crowd lights as well, and it's so pretty. A lot of my own personal favourite pieces of Inktober usually are limited colour palettes. I don't know, if they feel more effective when I use limited colours. 25, Inferno. So in the short, I basically describe the story of the avian heir, Sparrow. He finds out a secret that shocks him to his core, to the point where he actually knocks over the candelabra. Either he drops the candelabra he's holding, or he actually knocks over a candelabra in the hallway. I haven't fully worked that out yet, but like, there is definitely a candelabra that falls over in some respect, and an inferno starts. I do also think that an argument between Sparrow and his father, Hawk, breaks out, and maybe even a physical altercation, but I still need to work out the details. In terms of my stories, a lot of them have key beats that I want them to hit, but how they get to those beats are like very flexible. So all my stories have structure, it's just they do have a little bit of leeway on how things can actually happen. Giving myself a little bit of freedom with storytelling is usually the best way to get the creative juices flowing. I also consult the people on my Discord server whenever I'm having trouble with a story. I also forgot to mention that this one links to Inktober 2023, day 31, Fire. So this leads to this. So 26, Puzzling. This is Thea, and she is more grown up. So in the short, I didn't know which character this was going to be, but I pretty much went with Thea on the fly while colouring this, and I was thinking that she would definitely be questioning her family lineage, because there's definitely something going on with her maternal line that she is questioning. But another thing that she could be questioning, and like throwing a coin into a well and making a wish for her brother to come back, because her brother Kai actually does run away. So this is one of the pieces where Kai actually does run away, but this is Kai and his friend Marinette. This is from 2024, and you can see that he has run away from home. And during this time, Thea would be very much questioning where he went, why he went. He is found and does come back. But at this point in the story, she'd be missing her brother, she'd be questioning a lot of things in her life, and she's puzzled about a bunch of different things in her life. Day 27, Onion. This piece, it became a lot more personal than I thought it would. I had no idea what to do for this piece. It was one of the last few pieces to get a draft sketch done. When looking on Pinterest, I saw the idea of doing a paper bag. However, I thought, why not do the wicker basket that I used in my childhood? Like, my grandmother had a wicker basket that I used to play with a lot as a kid. So I thought it'd be really, really cute to have a wicker basket. It also has like this autumnal feel to it. It just, oh, I really, really like it. Day 28, Skeletal. We have Thomas Callisto. Thomas finally appears. When I was doing the narrative storytelling of the shorts, I really have to be quite careful with my words, and I really have to think about how I want to tell the story within the short, because the short is only a minute long. But this piece is kind of a visual representation of what happens to Thomas. Yes, he does die, unfortunately. I feel like the character of Thomas is quite interesting, especially in his absence. Like, a lot of things happen because he is gone. If Thomas was still around in the narrative, there are a lot of things that wouldn't happen the way that they do. So it's really interesting to look at the story and place Thomas back in it and think, how would the story be different if this character actually survived? Day 29, Lesson. So this is little Kai when he was a baby. So we have a picture of his sister Thea as a baby in day 22's button, and this is Kai as a baby. And I had a hard time trying to figure out which one was going to be Loki and which one was going to be Elijah. And I finally decided when I was actually trying out these Ohuhu fine liners, and basically the marker that I used here smudged. So I was like, okay, this is Elijah, because Elijah would have hair on his arm, so it would be easier to cover up a smudge on the arm mistake like that. And also I kind of used a hatching effect to imply that kind of thing. Also, Elijah has freckles. Kai inherited his father's freckles, which is so cute. So Kai is taking his first steps in this one, and we can see Loki in the background. It's implied that it is Loki. I was definitely winging it for the background, especially with the colours and the layout and stuff. I'm pretty sure that this part in the background is supposed to be a bit of a staircase. If you've ever seen how you build staircases in The Sims and like how you bend it around corners, it's supposed to mimic that. I don't think I succeeded in that, but hey, I tried. Okay. So day 30, we have Vacant. With the vampire attack that happens on a Krell, referenced in day 6, Pierce, the family break apart, and in more ways than one, the rooms are left vacant. And when I say more ways than one, basically, some end up suffering with the siren affliction, some do not survive the attack, but what happens during this attack is that the family splits in two, with where they think is safest, under the water or above the water. So you're going to have a lot of vacant, empty rooms. It's a really bad situation that the Akrawara family are in, and I feel so bad, but like at the same time, it's such a pivotal story beat in a lot of the character stories that it needs to happen for the sake of the narrative. So day 31, Award. This one feels more like an award for me for finishing Inktober, but yes, it does have the gold paint. The gold, beautiful paint. I'm pretty sure this paint is the same one that I used in Crown as well. And that paint was actually handmade paint by my friend Taz. I brought it from her last year during Inktober, and I absolutely adore the way it looks. It's so pretty. But the award for this piece is actually a royal warrant, and it is awarded to the bakery that appears in day 11, and also when the bakery is broken into in day 8. This is the seal and the emblem of the Kingdom of Verona, and you can kind of see hints at signatures there by the royals. I think my favorite thing about this piece, even though like it's really, really simple, is the blooms in the stonework. Just, oh my god, it looks so pretty. I think I used the Jackson's granulating watercolors for it. It's so pretty. I love the way it looks. When I was sketching out drafts for award, one of the drafts that I had was actually of a knighting ceremony. So a knight that was going to be knighted, and that character was probably going to be Warwick. Either that or it was going to be Thomas, or like one of the characters that do get knighted in the future. But I thought, let's go with something simple. I will probably end up doing that composition in the future anyway. Also, by the end of Inktober, I was just tired. I was just like, I want something easy for the last day, okay? But that was Inktober 2025. I really hope you enjoyed this Inktober. I definitely feel like some of my favourite pieces were in this year. I'm trying to decide what is my favourite piece this year. One of the standouts is definitely Day 6's Pierce. It turned out so good, and compared to that really silly thumbnail, it worked out so well. I have a soft spot for Onion. I didn't think I would have a soft spot for it. I love how Days 26 and what was it, Day 23 linked together. You can tell that like I used the same sort of idea, but from different perspectives. So you can see that Thea is making a wish in this wishing well. I love the way Thea came out in this one. I know I said it before, but it's so cute. It's so adorable. The storytelling of this one, of course not the situation and everything that's going on like in the background of this piece. However, the vibe, the way it turned out. But I'm curious, what is your favourite piece from this year? I'd love to know. If you've made it to the end of this video, comment the word celestial. I know that you've stuck around till the end, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye guys!